Something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Yes, it is live from the shadow of Detroit. Welcome to it as we kick off another brand new day here and another brand new week on the Steve Gruber Show. From the biggest foxhole of freedom, it always makes me ask, who do you want in your foxhole? You better find somebody today. We've got a lot of work to do and a lot of disturbing headlines. Let's start right here, number one. It appears charges of racism, false charges of racism, may have derailed the investigation into massive fraud by the Somali community in Minnesota and elsewhere. You see how that works? Yeah. Another weekend of deadly terrorist violence, and it appears an attack at Brown University, a slaughter of Jewish celebrants in Australia, and an attack on U.S. personnel in Syria all have a predictable thing in common. And you can figure out that common link. And that's where we start today with death. Rob Reiner and his wife found dead early today. Rumors circulating online is that his son committed the murders. We'll have more on that coming up. But we're going to start with the terror attack on Bondi Beach in Australia. 15 dead, all Jewish. More than 40 others hospitalized, many critically. As a father and son went on a shooting rampage to kill as many Jews at a Hanukkah celebration as they possibly could. It's the latest attack on Jews and Christians in this world, perpetrated, it appears, by Muslims. That's not xenophobic, that's an observation. That's not racist. It's an indication of a problem that we have. I want you to hear what it was like there. This went on for more than 20 minutes, the shooting. Some police photographed and videotaped cowering behind their cars. I want you to hear what it sounded like. Listen to this. On and on. The 50-year-old father and his 24-year-old son carrying out the terror attack. The father killed when police finally decided to shoot back. But by the time it was over, blood was running into the ocean. This is Australia, by the way, where they have very strict gun control laws. Because of an event in Tasmania years ago, they confiscated almost all guns in Australia. And yet, the hatred for Jews, the hatred for another religion, so fierce that this father and son, and you have to ask yourself, when it's generational like that, that son wasn't radicalized, he was raised this way. Would you have been surprised if that happened in the United States over the weekend? Sadly, your answer is no, just like me. We have another angle of the people fleeing the beach. I want you to see that. The pure terror. This beach was full when the shooting started. Just gather this a little bit.
¿Qué está pasando? ¿Dónde? Alicia, escucha, Alicia, porque ha pasado algo. Algo está pasando, pero no sé qué. Pero ¿dónde va la guru?
Unbelievable horror. People, their families, the victims that died. Ranged in age from 10 to 87. One of those murdered was a concentration camp survivor. First day of Hanukkah. And this is what they're greeted with on the first day of Hanukkah. Murder. Rampage. And as you watch the shooters in the video that we shared there, when there was some return fire, not much, but a little, they would just duck down, reload, and come back for more. Duck down, reload, come back for more. More than 20 minutes the shooting went on. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Here's an eyewitness account of what went on. I want you to hear this. It's bite number 18. Listen.
Can you tell me what happened?
Yes, there was two shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge. Just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody gave fire back. Nothing. Like they are froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes. Like and they shoot. The guy changed magazine. I look at him all the time. I was with 2 of my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under. They start to come close to the audience. I think one of the people took his rifle and shoot him. That's one of them. That's what I saw. I didn't know how much I saw, but
Who were they targeting?
oh, all the crowd, anyone, Jewish, just shoot. Doesn't matter who. Men, all kids, everyone was no.
Did they say anything?
I couldn't hear. Like the shooting was so loud, I couldn't hear if they said. I was too far. Like he was on the bridge, I was near the tent. So, but I saw. I look at him. I look what he shot. I look at his rifle. He aimed. He did. He really like take his time. He should take his time. And 4 policemen there didn't give fire back. I don't understand why.
Why? We know why, because it was a Jewish celebration. It began at 5 in the afternoon. The shooting began at 6:45 p.m. Jewish revelers targeted for being Jewish, nothing more. For being on a beach, nothing more. 15 dead, plus one of the suspects, so 16 dead total. The father is dead, the son in critical condition, but stable, we're told. The worst murder of Jews since October the 7th. We're in a different place now. Another shooting I'll touch on here. Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island. 2 people dead, 9 wounded. There was a person of interest taken into custody and then released early this morning. The suspect in that attack still on the loose. We're told from some reporting that it was a targeted attack. One of the victims there, one of the few outspoken Christian conservatives on the campus of Brown University, some indication she may have been the one that was targeted. We'll follow that story as well. But in the wake of all this devastation, there are those that cling to their woke ideas. Still, even in Australia, I have to share with you some appalling comments about diversity and coming together as a community and some such other hogwash. Had to be careful there. I'll be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back at it now. You're going to see a live scene there of the memorial service. That's after the massacre at Bondi Beach in Australia. Hanukkah celebrants targeted by a father-son team, 50 and 24 years of age. The father is dead. The son still alive. It may have been much worse except for a bystander. Came after one of the shooters, disarmed him. It's short, but it's fascinating. Watch.
Oh! Oh no!
What's strange about that film is that if you keep watching it, they let the killer walk back. He ended up getting more weapons and continuing the killing for a bit longer. Sad. What's really sad is that some people just don't understand. They just don't get it. They can't connect the dots. Their synaptic relays are not firing properly. They see this and they go, oh, gosh, if we could just get along. Really? If we just had more woke ideas and more woke indoctrination in the classroom, maybe we'd get along better. That's how far gone some of these folks are. A member of parliament, one of the cheerleaders of mass migration into her country, Australia, came out with this repulsive response, calling for diversity in the wake of this attack on Jewish Hanukkah celebrants. This was her, I can't even believe it, this was her response. Listen to this.
We don't want to speculate on what the factors are that have contributed to this awful tragedy that seems to be of a huge scale. You know, the fact that we know that 10 people have lost their lives today is utterly horrendous, and you know, my heart breaks for those people and their families and for the communities affected across the world. I think it's important to note that the escalation of this narrative of who we're against and how much we want to divide each other and how much we want to attack each other, that is really at the core of a lot of the problems that we have in the country at the moment. And I firmly believe that people are good and that given the opportunity, they will look out for each other. And I just want to say that as much as possible, we should try and detoxify the way that we think of people who aren't like us, because our diversity in this country is our strength. And I firmly am on the side of working together and celebrating our difference, because, you know, I was a community organiser a long, long time ago, and the strongest campaigns that we ever worked on were about bringing people of different faiths and different worldviews and different backgrounds together to find what we had in common. And at times like this, it makes me think of, you know, what happened with Jo Cox and her speech and that mantra that she had about more in common. We have more in common than that divides us. And that is the most true statement we can think of at very
What do you have in common? What do you have in common with a father and son team that would target Jewish Hanukkah celebrants? People just going to a party on the beach and being murdered from 10 to 87 years of age. What exactly do you have in common with those people, lady? What exactly is this mass immigration thing doing for the nation of Australia? How's that working out? You've got to be kidding me. The woke mind virus is out of control here. And it doesn't come from just anywhere. The Australian Prime Minister last year proved that he's far more enamored with diversity and striking down freedom of speech and controlling people and telling them what they're allowed to say than just telling the truth. This happened after another terror attack in Australia last year. He attacks Elon Musk, demands censorship, doesn't say, hey, who are these people in my country murdering my fellow citizens? Where is the outrage for that? Listen to this clown.
I want to ask you about Elon Musk. He's mocked you this morning for choosing censorship and propaganda over free speech and truth. What's your response to that?
Well, this is a bloke who's chosen ego and showing violence over common sense. I think that Australians will shake their head when they think that this billionaire is prepared to go to court fighting for the right to sow division and to show violent videos, which are very distressing. He is in social media, but he has a social responsibility in order to have that social licence. And what has occurred here is that the E-Safety Commissioner has made very sensible suggestions. Other social media companies have complied.
Stop it. Social media companies need to comply with our demands. That's the solution, Mr. Prime Minister. Really? He should be thrown out immediately. The attack is on Judeo-Christian values around the world. Now, back to the Brown University shooting. We're going to have more on that as we dig into it. The suspect, apparently on the loose. The person of interest, first arrested, released. Initial reports from the scene said the shooter was yelling Allahu Akbar. And you know what that means. That it was a targeted shooting. The professor reportedly, again, early in the investigation, the professor reportedly, an active member of the Jewish community. The woman killed first, an active member of the Christian conservative movement on Brown, very small movement, easy to identify her. It was called a targeted shooting from the beginning. 2 dead, 9 wounded. Providence, Rhode Island. Then, of course, there's the attacks in Syria on military personnel of the United States. All one common thread. We begin a difficult week here. We'll continue after this. All right, here's the story coming out of Brentwood, California, on the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. Allegedly stabbed to death by their son, Nick. Alleged to have been stabbed to death by their son, Nick. I'm just scrolling through. Rob Reiner became world famous for his role in All in the Family as Meathead. Created some remarkable movies, some incredible films. Yeah. People are more than politics, though. In a world full of leftists that celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, be better than that. In a world full of liberal Democrats, progressives that celebrated the death of our friend Charlie Kirk, be better than that today. Be a conservative who mourns the loss of Rob Reiner and his wife for dying at the hands of their own child. Unspeakable horror. Rise above that. Be better than that. I don't know anything about their son off the top of my head. I know nothing about him. Nothing at all. Nick is his name. That's coming from People magazine. They say they have the exclusive, killed by their son. I guess I will assume that he is in custody. He's not reported anything else here. Movies. Lots of them. We'll get to that list later. Strange day. All right, coming up, we're going to shift gears and talk about energy and geopolitics, the geopolitical landscape of energy in America. We'll keep you updated on these other stories as we find out more. Busy week already. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Jumping back into it now, gas prices across America continue to drop. Two-thirds of the country now below $3 a gallon. You know, that's pretty remarkable considering a couple of years ago gas was $5 a gallon. But energy is the cornerstone of the Trump administration. It really is. Better energy policy leads to lower prices, leads to better economic conditions for Americans, creates jobs. It's all there. And Chris Wright, the Secretary of Energy, to me, is doing a great job. We'll see what my next guest thinks. Tricia Curtis joining me, macroeconomist, economist that is, expertise in U.S. shale markets, energy geopolitics, China, man. She's got it all covered. She's an encyclopedia. Tricia, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be back.
Glad to have you. The big energy headlines, beside gas prices and so forth, for me in the last few days, Alaska. Rare earth elements. You've got LNG production, a pipeline being built. Pipeline's still the safest way to move energy anywhere in this country. Alaska getting a lot of attention right now, and for good reason, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, especially when you're talking about the critical mineral segment. But actually, I mean, on LNG, we've had a massive bump in LNG exports. So
that's right.
You know, all the things that this, I know that the administration likes to say promises made, promises kept, and the Trump administration and Chris Wright specifically on LNG exports. We went from 15 BCF a day of exports to 20 BCF a day in the month of November. And so it's actually happening. And so we're seeing a material increase in LNG exports.
And LNG is important because, look, here in Michigan where I live, we've got numerous power plants now that are run by natural gas. If we focus on our own great natural resources, we could lower the price of electricity. But in places like New England, their prices continue to skyrocket. In places all over the East, the prices continue to skyrocket because they think that they can power the world with windmills and solar panels. It's a fool's errand, isn't it?
It is a fool's errand, and I think it's really amazing when you start looking around the world. The only country in the world that uses where they have wind and solar and it's working is China, and that's because they have coal. And so what the rest of the world has done, particularly the East and West Coast, they start looking like Germany. And Germany has the highest electricity prices in the world. And so on the East and West Coast, when we're seeing 45 cents, or higher a kilowatt hour, the rest of the U.S. is around 20, and that's still very, very high. But that's because they've shoved wind and solar into their grid. And sadly, they've taken out the baseload power like coal, and in some places in California, like nuclear as well. You can't add intermittent, expensive forms of energy, especially though they come from China, but you can't add them and take out your baseload power as well, because then you just get crappy power, intermittent power, and very expensive power. And so you get all of them tied together. And now you have an increase on demand for energy overall, because we just haven't built enough power generation in a long time. And now we want to revitalize our defense industrial base. We want to revitalize manufacturing. You need power to do that. And we have demand from artificial intelligence. But
That's
very
right.
important is that prices were rising way before we had demand from artificial intelligence. And that goes to the heart of the Biden administration and very, very, very poor policies out of them.
Well, it's poor policies, not just at the federal level, at the state level as well. You've got
Absolutely.
These monopolies, like in my state, there's two energy companies that control all the power and all the natural gas distribution, and that's it. And they go to the commission at the government and say, hey, we want to raise prices again and again and again, and they do it, and we're just on the hook for it. There's no competition at all. You mentioned Germany. They did learn their lesson in 2023 and restarted a whole series of coal-fired power plants, but not until the damage was done. I remember going to Kentucky a number of years ago now, and there was this power plant sitting up on the bluff. I said, what's that? They said, it's a coal-fired power plant that's just been shut down. I said, was it too old? Oh, no, it had 25 or 30 years of life left. This is what we did to ourselves as well. We mothballed and closed coal-fired power plants. Oh, we're going to save the planet. You know what it's been doing here for the last 2 weeks? Snowing. We are 250% of average already for the winter. I'm not too worried about the planet warming. I'm worrying about being cold in my house and not having lights on. Am I short-sighted?
No, you're not. And I think it's pretty amazing is that you can just not do what these countries have done, and that would be part of the right answer. So you can't go headlong into bad policy. You have to have energy, and it comes from just turning the lights on, but really importantly to heat your homes. And I was in Newcastle, Wyoming over Thanksgiving, and we got a massive snowstorm. And I have to tell you, we were ripping that wood fireplace just to backstop that natural gas furnace. And people have to realize, like, the basics of just heating your home or cooling your home in the summer, you need that reliable power to do that. And that is not coming from wind and solar directly, right? That's coming from natural gas.
Let's just say that. Not now and not ever.
No.
Hydrocarbons have energy density. Whether it's coal, natural gas, oil, doesn't matter. Energy density matters, and it takes vast quantities of cheap energy to run the economy of the United States of America. We have to stop playing footsie with the green energy Nazis. Yeah, I called them that. And we have got to move forward. Look, you wrote about this recently, and you point out that states like New York and California, who have taken really bad policies as far as they can, they're on par to have electric charges as high as Germany because of ridiculously bad, short-sighted policies that leave us, as you said, with intermittent energy that costs too much when it's on. It's absurd.
Yeah, and the thing is that you can actually look to Germany and see what happened, right? They've been hit on every front, right? They've let themselves be exposed to China, and they've taken this wind and solar. And if you look at their grid right now, they have decommissioned that coal and they've decommissioned their nuclear, and they've shoved in that wind and solar. And so you want to know why they have high electricity prices and they can't make things? It's because they don't have the stable, reliable, dispatchable power. And so you're absolutely right about energy density, and this is why I have a chunk of coal behind me and a pump jack. But it's energy density. It's also power density, and natural gas is 1,000 times more power dense than wind. I mean, it's not even a competition. And so we have to get away from this ridiculous logic that we're saving the planet, which we're not, by adding wind and solar. And we have to realize that in order to make things and to compete in this world, we need natural gas, and we absolutely need coal. And Trump was he was in Pennsylvania last night, and he was talking about this and talking about his clean coal, his clean, beautiful coal, and it absolutely is. I mean, we're barely using any in the U.S. We're using 700 terawatt hours. We could be using a lot more, but it's an incredible baseload backstop, and it really does actually help with natural gas as well.
And the Chinese are building a brand new coal-fired power plant 1 and 2 times a week. They're not even using them, Tricia. You know this. They're just building them and setting them aside for future reference. We should be doing the same. We should be using coal, oil, natural gas, modular nuclear, which is the wave of the future, I think. All of these things should be on the ticket, shouldn't they?
They, all of when you say all of the above, I say oil, natural gas, coal, nuclear, all of the above for that. I don't mean all of the above for wind and solar, but
I agree
absolutely.
with you.
But really importantly, and really for your grid, is thinking about, yes, add more natural gas. We have the natural gas. So something everyone's talking about now is the rise in natural gas prices. We needed a rise in natural gas prices. They've been exceptionally low, and in order to invest and get a return, you need a higher price. Now we're increasing our LNG exports, which is awesome, but we have more than enough natural gas to increase our LNG exports, which we're providing global energy security. You're welcome to the rest of the world. We're providing that with every molecule we put on the water, and we're decreasing the global price of natural gas.
Right.
And we have enough to actually power our grid. The problem is we need to be pulling into our grid. And to your point earlier on, it's not just the federal level, it is the states. Here in Colorado, where I'm at, we have abysmal state policies where we're decommissioning coal-fired power generation like crazy. We're getting rid of these jobs. But more importantly, we're going to take away power from people, and literally and figuratively. So I think it's a travesty, but it's really sad that we see people's electricity bills rising. But it's really sad that we're starting to see where people are not going to have power because states really have poor policies on trying to decommission coal-fired power generation and natural gas power generation.
And by the time they realize it, Tricia, we'll be too far down the road to turn around. Real quickly, where can people find you and learn more about what you're writing and talking about?
Absolutely. You can find petronerds.com. You can find me on Twitter at Trisha J. Coffee, and really LinkedIn is where I put a lot of posts out. So you can find Trisha Curtis at LinkedIn, President and CEO of Petronerds, and also The Economist with the American Energy Institute.
Tricia, always good to see you. Thank you for coming by. I'm sure we will talk again because energy is the foundation of America's economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Greatly appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break and be right back. It is The Steve Gruber Show. Well, I was just looking outside. It's 14 degrees, a beautiful, balmy 14 degrees. It's going to get warm here, like summertime. It's going to hit 40 degrees for a moment here in a couple of days. Then it's back into the deep freeze. Boy, winter came early, didn't it? I mean, I was just looking outside thinking, we're at 250% of average for snowfall here where I live. We're at about 18 inches for November, December. Well above the average and colder than I've seen it in a long time. Everything's frozen solid. So what do? I turn to my good friends at Muskox for the best shirt I could possibly buy. Let's have a little uplifting news here today. Brad Hoos, founder of Muskox, joining me. Brad, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Steve. We love the cold here at Muskox.
Well, of course you do. You created this company in Detroit, Michigan a number of years ago. We've known about you for a long time. We all wear them this time of the year. I'd wear it here on the air except, but I wear it everywhere else. I mean, I wore it to church on Sunday. I wear it to go outside to run the dogs. I wear it to go let the chickens in and out. As a chicken rancher, I have to do that, of course. It is the everyday driver this time of the year.
Yeah, we hear that all the time from our customers, and that's really what we're built for, right? I mean, it's cold, we're warm, it's great, but we're very heavyweight. But the whole idea is that it's not something it feels bulky and it feels like there's a ton of fabric. It's still really soft and comfortable, so you kind of have this day-to-day wear, but where it's not sweltering hot, but it really keeps you warm and insulated. And that's really what we've strive for here at Muskox, which is kind of a weird balance to reach, but I think somehow we've threaded that needle.
It's a challenge being a small business owner. I know you know that. You started a clothing company in Detroit. You must have lost your mind, but it's worked out well. I appreciate that. But man, what keeps you going has got to be those positive customer reviews. Gear Junkie Magazine, #1 flannel shirt. Gruber, #1 flannel shirt. I mean, trust me, I've been an outdoorsman my entire life. This is the best go-to shirt we have. I use it when I go hunting. I use it when I go walking in the winter. In the fall, I can use it as a jacket. It is just so versatile. And those customer reviews have got to keep you pumped up.
Yeah, no, you're right. We're a small business, so there's plenty of challenges, we're happy to get into some of those. But one of the things that's really cool, and I've seen so many people from Gruber, they send us pictures of their whole family wearing their flannels, or they hop on a call and are telling us how much they love the shirts and have been wearing them for every year. And we see it. We see the customers keep coming back time after time after time. I mean, you can look at our reviews on our website. I mean, they're all accurate. We don't fabricate any reviews, of course. And that is the best thing. So just for people who want to brighten someone else's day, I tell you what, you'll definitely brighten the Muskox team if you give us a review. Let us know how things are going.
It's weird, Brad, because I fabricate all my reviews when I put them online. So I'm glad you don't. I love Gruber. I fabricate all of them. I'm kidding. In good news, you've given $100,000 toward American wildlife conservation, $100,000. Because you take a little bit off from every shirt and throw it in the pile for wildlife conservation, which I think is really cool. Tell the folks about that.
Yeah, it's really humbling to think about. I mean, $100,000, that's a lot of money that we've been able to donate to American Wildlife Conservation. So, yeah, for every flannel purchased, we donate $5 to our friends at the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. And that's stacked up, obviously, over time here to the point where we're really making a very significant impact on the muskox that they rescue and recover, and they help a lot of wildlife. We're a little bit biased in that we get excited about the muskox, of course, that they're rescuing and supporting in Alaska. But I think it's just a reminder. Hey, like we believe most, like, you speak loudest when you speak with your pocketbook. So it's always been important from day one for us to make sure we're giving back towards wildlife and not just naming ourselves after wildlife, but really doing something to improve wildlife. So that's something we're really, really proud of and very humbled by, to be honest, because again, that's a lot of money, and we're proud to have made
that is a lot of money.
An impact on wildlife.
That makes a big difference. All right, so the deadline. Look, folks, it's not the most inexpensive shirt you're going to look at this year. I get it. It's an investment in your comfort, or maybe your wife's if she says, hey, I'd really like that shirt, and away it goes. December 17th is your shipping deadline. If you want to get on board the Muskox train, and trust me, you do. December 17th, right?
That's right, Steve. That's right. I mean, look, the reality is you still have time, right? I mean, we're still 10 days out from Christmas. If you're looking to buy from ecom, you want to wrap that up. But today, tomorrow, and then 17th is
Do
the
it.
is the standard shipping deadline. Yeah,
Do it.
it's go time. It's go time.
Do it. You save $15, by the way. Use the promo code Gruber. You'll throw $5 into the hat for wildlife conservation. They will sell out of some of the flannels that you want. So if you want it by Christmas, do it now. GoMuskox.com. GoMuskox.com. And remember, love can be a thief. They can steal your muskox. GoMuskox.com. You'll save $15 using the promo code Gruber at checkout. Brad, Merry Christmas, my friend.
Merry Christmas, Steve, to you and to all of Gruber Nation. We are so grateful for all the support that we've had from you guys over the years. So thank you for helping us to build the flannel brand here in Detroit. We appreciate you.
There you have it, my friends. Thank you, Brad. GoMuskox.com, $15 off. Use the promo code Gruber at checkout. You'll be happy that you did. I think that's the one Anthony wears. That one I just saw. Isn't that the one you wear, Anthony?
I think so.
I think it is. Anyhow, everybody wears them here. I'm not kidding about that. Gas prices, holy cow. In Escanaba, Michigan today, the average price for a gallon of gasoline is $2.45. It's the cheapest, adjusted for inflation, it's been in 25 years. 25 years. Lowest gas prices in 25 years right now, and going lower every day. It's down again today, according to AAA. The national average is $2.84. The average, by the way, in Oklahoma, $2.29. That's the average. Lots of stations under $2 a gallon now. In places like Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana. We're headed in the right direction. Stay the course is what I'm getting at. Stay the course. We're getting things figured out. Give us some time here. We're going to talk all about the economy in the next hour. But first, a quick break. And then I've got a really important article to tell you about when it comes to blowing up these drug boats. Who's impacted the most, all right? It's really an important story I'm going to share with you coming up next on The Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. I really want you to read this article on MichiganNewsSource.com. It's my news platform. We're changing the name to News Source here shortly, but currently it's MichiganNewsSource.com. Soon you'll be able to find it at newssource.news. Why? Because my genius wife says that sounds better to me. Okay. MichiganNewsSource.com. Guess who's not mourning those drug boats that are getting blown up? Angel moms who buried their kids. 67%, by the way, of this is part of the article. 67% of voters support destroying drug boats bringing drugs to the United States from South America, including 49% of Democrats. And 63% say the vessels loaded with drugs are appropriately targeted for destruction. Here's one of the families highlighted from Traverse City, Michigan. It's not an abstract debate about policy sovereignty or about the hypocrisy of Senator Chuck Schumer, who voted for the maritime interdictions before he decided to be against them under the Trump administration. For Sue Summers, it's painfully simple. And here was her reaction. Quote, finally, somebody's paying attention. She lost one of her sons, Mike, at the age of 34, to fentanyl in 2023. She says, finally, somebody's paying attention. Go after the head of the snake, I applaud it, Summers said. Somebody's finally stepping up to defend us so other families don't have to go through this hell. This hell. I'm not upset by it at all, she says. Almost 3,000 people a year just in Michigan die from fentanyl poisoning. And people say, well, they're blowing up cocaine boats. Yeah, cocaine can be sprinkled with fentanyl. Fake pharmaceuticals can be sprinkled with fentanyl. A friend of mine's 19-year-old son died last year because he smoked a joint that was sprinkled with fentanyl. He didn't know it. He died. He paid the ultimate price. He was a college kid, just out screwing off on a weekend. Cost him his life. Go to MichiganNewsSource.com, read this article. Find out about the real casualties of the war on drugs. All right? When we come back, we'll have an update from Australia on the Bondi Beach massacre. There is a live view of the memorial at Bondi Beach. You can see it. But more on that coming up straight ahead on the Steve Gruber Show. Always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
And welcome to it. A busy day and a busy week already. Fighting for you from the foxhole of freedom. Good morning. Thank you for being here. We've got three big things to cover this hour. Number one, gas prices falling along with inflation while the markets are on the rise as of late. More signs the economy far better off than some are telling you. And yes, you will feel it. Number two, Obamacare continues to be a failure, and Democrats continue to ignore the problem and instead blame Republicans who didn't vote for it while demanding billions more in tax money just to prop it up. And number three, the grotesque attacks on Jewish people gathered to celebrate the first day of Hanukkah in Australia, Bondi Beach. Another suspected terror attack on a classroom at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island, also looking like it was targeted because of the Jewish professor in front and the Christian conservative killed in the classroom. And, of course, the deadly attack on the U.S. military in Syria. That, too, linked to Muslim terrorism. How long until we can understand we're not safe from this, especially in the Christmas and Hanukkah season? Do you feel safe? Will you change your plans? It's a serious question. Go to stevegruber.com. Send me an email. Tell me your thoughts on this. I do want to know. President Trump weighed in on the global violence. Here's part of what he said.
I want to just pay my respects to the people. Unfortunately, 2 are no longer with us. Brown University, 9 injured, and 2 are looking down on us right now from heaven. And likewise in Australia, as you know, that was a terrible attack, 11 dead, 29 badly wounded. And that was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody. I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people, and not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. Syrian government fought by our side. The new president fought by our side. But I just want to pay my respects to the families.
There's the president weighing in on all the violence of a bloody weekend. The sad thing is none of us, not one of us, would be surprised if that attack had happened on a beach here in the United States with all that's going on. I want to jump in the time machine for a moment, take you back to 2023, when the vice president at the time, Kamala Harris, praised the Australian gun control model, massive, strict gun control, dating back to an attack in Tasmania back in the late 90s. They took all the guns away, almost all of them. The guns used by the father-son combo that murdered the death toll now 15, plus the father, 50 years old, killed in the attack. More than 40 hospitalized today. There were 1,000 people or more gathered on that beach when the shots rang out for more than 20 minutes. While we have video and photographs of police officers cowering behind cars. They didn't rush toward the danger. They hid from it. They hid from it. Here's Kamala Harris talking about that gun control model and how wonderful it is. Listen.
Has terrorized and traumatized so many of our communities in this country. And let us be clear, it does not have to be this way, as our friends in Australia have demonstrated.
Indeed, it is the case that we look every time there is one of these events and are grateful that Australia did act in a bipartisan way.
So grateful today, are you, Mr. Prime Minister? Nobody could defend themselves. Nobody ready to shoot back as the father and son stood on a small pedestrian bridge and reloaded time and time again, murdering, maiming your fellow citizens, you clown. Yeah. Thankfully, in America, we can defend ourselves. That's never going to change. That's never going to change. All right, we're going to shift gears. We'll keep an eye on that. Rob Reiner murdered by his son, apparently his wife as well. Rob Reiner, somebody who I did not agree with on anything, politically speaking, but his murder is just horrible. Stabbed to death, allegedly. Those are the stories circulating from People magazine. They say they have the exclusive that his son murdered him and his wife. We'll keep you up to date on that, plus the attack in Syria. We'll keep an eye on all of that. Let's go to something positive for a moment. That is the price of gasoline. Colorado now among the cheapest in America. A lot of states seeing better prices than we've seen in 25 years. Adjusted for inflation, these are the best prices on gasoline in 25 years. Here's what it's like in Colorado.
Another $1.93 at the Exxon off of Garden of the Gods Road. Gas prices in Colorado are extremely low. Colorado ranking 4th lowest nationally, according to AAA.
I came here out of my way to get gas because it's a lot cheaper here.
In El Paso County, the average gas price per gallon is $2.34, $2.41 a gallon in Pueblo County.
I mean, this is insane, right?
$1.93.
$1.93.
Gas is $1.93, which is awesome. I can't believe it. I haven't seen these prices since 2021. I don't know.
But why are gas prices so low?
Refiners are making fuel. Less and less people are driving, drives price down.
In other words, there is more supply, but less demand.
There's stations in Colorado that are $1.70 a gallon, and you haven't seen that since COVID. That's great for families. That's great for consumers. That's great for Christmas budgets.
Especially with the holidays coming up, like every bit helps, so.
Every bit helps, that's for sure. And now, here is a big headline you probably won't hear a lot of places. The deficit. Our annual spending deficit, because of tariffs, because of lower interest rates, because of the policies of this administration, the deficit in this country is down not just a little, a lot. Listen.
Evidence is mixed, but the point is that we've got deficit going way down. So right now it's looking like the deficit for this year will be $600 billion lower than it was last year. That really helps lower inflation. We've got the trade deficit cut in half from last year. Mm-hmm. And so all of these things are things that should continue to move us towards the Fed target of 2%.
There you have it. If you ever wondered why your metabolism turned off, the truth is it's different for everyone. My Pure Health uses breakthrough science and technology to uncover your unique why and then fix it naturally. No shots, no endless exercise or prescriptions, real food, and a customized protocol. Men can lose up to 50 pounds in 40 days, women 32 pounds in 40 days. The best part, you don't just lose it, they teach you how to keep it off. Book a free consultation today, free. Visit GruberHealth.com today. Take the first step toward the healthier, slimmer you. GruberHealth.com. It's real results, it's real food, it's real simple. No shots on infinitum, no prescriptions, none of that. GruberHealth.com. Free consultation today. I'll take a break and be right back. Welcome back to it. A big, busy day here, as they always are. No question about it. Let's reach into the health bag. We talk about health here a lot. So transferring the nation's most costly and deadly chronic diseases is critical. My next guest is Dr. Stephen Lloyd, chairman of REACH, United, a nationally respected leader in addiction medicine and public health policy. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Greatly appreciated. All right, so chronic disease is remarkable. Chronic diseases drive 90% of the United States' $4.5 trillion in annual health care spending. Give me a list of these chronic diseases that come to mind right off the top of your head.
Well, the ones that people traditionally think of right off the bat, Steve, are things like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, things like that. But, you know, people don't tend to think of substance use disorder as being the number one cause of chronic disease, but it is.
Substance use disorder. You know, we were just talking about an article here from Angel Moms who have lost children to the drug crisis in America, the illegal drug crisis. But it's not just illegal drugs, is it? It's prescription drugs. And then it leads to street drugs. And then oftentimes, 100,000 times a year, it leads to death in this country. That's a painful reality, isn't it?
It is. And, you know, people forget about prescription drugs. It's like that crisis is over, and it's not. It's still the pathway. It's still the gateway that so many people, you know, reach illicit drugs. And that's the issue. The prescription drug epidemic has not gone away, Steve.
So what do we do to slow it down? Look, there's a great article, MichiganNewsSource.com, written by one of my best writers today about angel moms who say, look, I don't care if you blow those boats out of the water. I buried my son. And I know a lot of people that have buried their sons, daughters, husbands, brothers, friends, and relatives, right? They know this. And they think that anybody who's backing the drug dealers is on the wrong side of the equation. I happen to agree with that. What are your thoughts?
Same thing, you know, you start with interdiction efforts. You know, how do you prevent these things from coming into our country? People that don't think that's important don't know what they're talking about. It's very important. But you know as well as I do, Steve, when there is a demand, there will be a supply. And so you got to do something to cut off the supply as well. And that gets to what we do, which is get people individualized treatment, because it really hasn't existed. Addiction treatment hasn't changed for the last 100 years. You know, so it's about the same as it's always been. You get what the place happens to do that you go to. And if you're not successful, then you do it again. You know, the exact same thing. And when you reimburse these folks, they don't get paid for outcomes. I mean, the only thing that matters are outcomes, Steve, right? And so if you're just getting paid on the fact that you spent your money this year and you want 5% more next year, then that system is never going to do anything but what it's doing right now.
All right, so when you call it the substance use disorder, you're going to get pushback because people are going to say it's behavior. It's not some disorder. It's your behavior that pushes you to this. Addiction is not a disorder. It's a decision. Your thoughts?
I agree with that at first, Steve, for sure. You know, you make that first decision to pick up. I mean, that's everybody, including me, by the way. It's how I got into this field. I'm in recovery 21 years from prescription pain medication and Xanax addiction. So it is behavior at first. But at some point, you know, your brain chemistry takes over. Your brain gets rewired, and it becomes not a choice. It becomes, I've got to do this thing or I'm going to die. I did things in my addiction, Steve, I would never even dream of doing today, right? And so it is behavior, but there's also a biological basis behind addiction, including right down to our DNA and DNA markers that put people at risk.
CareNet designed to be the most, this is from your paperwork. CareNet is designed to be the most comprehensive, data-driven ecosystem ever built to understand and treat SUD, that's substance use disorder, of course. It will enable researchers to explore the biological, physiological, and social factors underlying maladaptive drug-seeking behavior and to refine the standard of care through continuous learning. What are you doing there at CareNet that's different?
Well, using data, Steve. I mean, there's so much data available out there. The trouble in healthcare is getting to the data. The answers are in the data somewhere. But how do you get to it? One, HIPAA protects a lot, as it should, right? I mean, our private health data should be protected. But at the same time, you know, we've got all these EMR systems, electronic medical record systems, that don't talk to each other. So they're inoperable when talking to each other. And so that pretty much makes makes the things that we're talking about impossible because of all the red tape you would have to go to with institutional review boards and everything else. What CareNet does is use something called motile intelligence to actually mine that technology without breaking HIPAA rules, at the same time solving the inoperability problem, to give people an individualized treatment plan right down to the food that they eat, Steve, not the one-size-fits-all of today.
So what if people find out more about CareNet, what you're doing, your approach? You're trying to break the cycle of disaster, because it really is a disaster. Whether there are funerals or just people that have ruined lives, broken marriages, estrangement from children or parents, all of these things are painful emotionally, spiritually. Where can people find out more?
Steve, you're exactly right. It's more than just the person with the addiction. It rips at the fabric of our families, which we struggle with enough in this country, as you know.
Yep.
So we have a website, carenet.org. You can definitely check out, what we're doing and the approach that we're taking, and it'll change. It gives people individualized treatment like we do cancer. I mean, used to 20 years ago, Steve, you went down the chemotherapeutic line and radiation and surgery, and it was not individualized. Today, based on all the data that we have, the individual markers, the technology, we can match people better to their treatments, and that's what we're talking about doing with CareNet. So you can definitely check it out on our website.
CareNet.org, folks. Find out more about Reach United. CareNet.org. Sir, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Steve. I appreciate it.
Really appreciate it. Maybe we can break this chain for at least a couple of people. Every step forward a little bit more. That's what we hope for here in this season of giving, I guess. This part of the program brought to you by NeuroGuard. NeuroGuard Plus is the mouth guard that reduces head injuries. Forget the gadgets that break and the gifts that get tossed aside. Give something that truly matters: protection. NeuroGuard Plus, revolutionary mouthguard engineered to reduce impact forces and help safeguard athletes from the hits you can predict and the ones you never see coming. Perfect for football, hockey, girls basketball, wrestling. This year, put safety under the tree. Visit NeuroGuardPlus.com. Give the gift of confidence, protection, and peace of mind. Keep your head in the game. NeuroGuardPlus.com. NeuroGuardPlus.com. I'll be right back. The season of giving. That's what Donald Trump says Jasmine Crockett's doing for Republicans. A gift to Republicans, he says. An absolute gift to Republicans is Jasmine Crockett in her run for the United States Senate seat in Texas. It's almost for sure she's going to get the nomination as the Democrat in Texas, though she has zero chance of winning for the most part. Ken Paxton will be the next senator from the great state of Texas. Take it to the bank. Senator Paxton will be there defending Texas against all comers. President Trump said Crockett's entrance in the Senate race a gift for Republicans. She's a low IQ person. I can't imagine she wins. Maybe she'll get the Democratic nomination, but I think it's a gift to Republicans. I've watched her for the last 2 years. I can't even believe she's a politician, actually. Speaking of gifts, here's something for you, Anthony. You ready? You ready? Yeah. Joe Biden needs a gift. And I just, and I read this and I thought, well, Anthony will give. Joe Biden's library Presidential Library, $200 million effort. They're a little off track. They expect to raise $11 million by 2027. 2 years down the road, they expect to have $11 million of the $200 million needed. By the way, big donors are saying, yeah, no chance. John Morgan, a longtime donor to the Democrat Party and one of Biden's top supporters, told the New York Times he would not give a penny toward the library. He said he was treated poorly by Joe Biden's staff. The Biden staff, they ruined any type of good library for him, Morgan told the New York Times. And here's what he said. He said, Joe Biden will be lucky to have a bookmobile as a library. He's one of the top Democrat fundraisers there are. He said he'll be lucky to have a bookmobile. Joey's driving the ice cream truck. It's a bookmobile, Joe. Joey's driving the ice cream truck. Who wants a pop-up? Hey, little girl.
They need $200 million for a library full of coloring books.
Exactly. Well played, Anthony. Hey, what's your name, little girl? I drive the ice cream truck. Yeah. Oh. I'll be back. Back to it now. Of course, with the tariffs being rolled out, there was a lot of anxiety about that. But we now know that the trade deficit for the fiscal year is down $600 billion. $600 billion. But that notwithstanding, farmers were in some trouble. President Trump stepped up and said, we're going to put $12 billion behind our farmers to make sure that they're covered and don't have real problems any more than they already have. I mean, farming's tough work. My next guest is Joe Maxwell, co-founder of Farm Action. His experience in farming, building agricultural supply chains, practicing law, and serving the statewide office, all keys to his successful policy development campaign strategies in the great state of Missouri. Thank you for being here, Joe.
Thank you, Steve. Good to be on your show again.
Greatly glad to have you here. All right, $12 billion. I'm not a farmer, but I've been around farms my whole life. And I guess I'm a chicken rancher, but that doesn't really count. My birds run around the yard. I'm kind of into farming all my life. I've grown up around farms, went to college in Montana, spent a lot of time with ranchers. I've hunted and fished in a lot of great places because of my access to these places. But how important is this to the farming community from coast to coast in America?
Well, it's everything. Right now, farmers are in a financial crisis. Trade wars, tariffs, not unlike other businesses, but farming has become so dependent upon exports that it really caught us. So it's everything. We really appreciate the $12 billion that the president has put together along with Secretary Rollins.
You know, farming has come a long way. We produce more food on less land, using less energy than any time in human history right here in America. In a perfect year in 1985, you could not produce the bushels per acre of corn, beans, rice that you do today during a drought year. The advances in agriculture are amazing, but that notwithstanding, farming is still farming, isn't it, Joe?
It is. And one of the things is, the more you grow per acre doesn't mean you're making more profit, right? Because we're depending on export markets.
Sure.
We also have a record negative trade deficit in agriculture. And one of the things we were excited about in this announcement of $12 billion, $1 billion of it's going to assist vegetable and fruit growers. And it's time that we recognize that we do have to grow food, not just feed and fuel crops here in the U.S. So it was a first time that I can recall that administration recognized the need to put money in for fruits and vegetables for food on our table. And we've been happy to work with the MAHA movement and really had put in those recommendations with over 120 organizations, farmers, and physicians into Secretary Rollins making that suggestion here a few months ago.
You know, I grew up in Lansing, Michigan, just outside where they had half a dozen plants building automobiles. And I used to see these bumper stickers back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, drive your foreign car, but wait till you eat your foreign salad or something like that. I thought, well, that's silly. We're never going to import food to feed ourselves. And yet, we do, Joe. We have a tremendous amount of imported agricultural products. When we've got the best apples, the best fruits and vegetables from the Central Valley of California. We've got great fruit from Florida, and yet we import metric tons of food.
Right.
We really shouldn't do that, should we?
We shouldn't, and we don't have to. One of the things people say, well, it's seasonal. Well, Canada is a major supplier of off-season tomatoes, just to put it in perspective.
That's
Last time I
right.
checked, Canada's north of here. So we really need to focus our programs, and that's what we're calling for, is for Congress to look in the Farm Bill and refocus our programs to feed us, not just to provide us corn and soybean farmers, which I am, but also look at the fruits and vegetables, and let's rebuild the domestic supply for food on our tables.
Yeah, we also hear about the beef prices. That's top of the fold headline. Beef prices in America pretty high right now, but we have fewer cows than we did since 1951. Fewer cows on the hoof, but the cows are bigger. They produce more meat each, so that's a challenge as well. So whether you produce livestock or crops like you do, corn and beans like so many farmers do, there's a need for action here. So how does this $12 billion plug into the system?
The $12 billion first is a stopgap finance program for those farmers impacted by the trade wars. I appreciate the president recognizing that. Second, $700 million was announced to go to regenerative agricultural practices. One of the things we as farmers can do is begin to change the way in which we raise crops so that we need fewer inputs, lower our cost of production. And then finally, the other part of the program, as I already mentioned, was $1 billion to help secure the financial situation that our fruit and vegetable growers are in. So a very well-rounded package. Congress is talking about the need for more money. we will begin to work with Congress to look at helping all farmers and clearly to raise food and lower that agricultural trade deficit of about $47 billion.
I hope they help out chicken ranchers, you know. So here's one of the things that people don't talk about. Here's one of the things people don't talk about. They talk about the food, they talk about the growing, they talk about, you know, the stopgap like you're talking about. Fertilizer. We import a tremendous amount of fertilizer into this country. You need potash to grow crops, right? That's one of the key factors in making it work. And we import tremendous amounts of it. Now, we just found a big pocket of it in Michigan. I know that. That's why it's top of mind for me. But people forget there's not just plant the seed and water it a little bit and hope that everything goes well. There's a whole lot to it. It's the equipment that's really expensive. It's the ground that needs maintenance. It's the weather conditions you deal with. It's the fertilizer you have to use to make sure that you get a maximum return on your investment of time, energy, money, all of it, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, two companies control 90% of the potash. So good point, Steve. And they're North America, the majority of it, but it's Canadian. We also have four companies controlling the majority of nitrogen fertilizer. And so what we see is in inputs, we see this heavy concentration, a handful of companies controlling the inputs. And they tell in their shareholder announcements filed with SEC, they say 50% of our pricing model is how much a farmer gets paid. So it has nothing to do with supply and demand because they can dictate price to the farmer.
So here's my question then. Would they see $12 billion roll out and they say, well, time for a price increase?
That's what they're going to do. And it's just a pass through. But the president 8 days ago did an executive order putting together a task force to look at these areas in agriculture and food, this concentration. We're going to be leaning in hard to begin to look at the power of this handful of companies that's controlling our inputs in agriculture, as well as the food on the other side that the consumer buys.
So you have to take a look at what you're talking about is monopolies controlling the production of food in America. That's what you're saying. Two companies in one area, four in another. That's a monopoly because they all work together, don't they? Those four companies get on the phone and say, okay, here's our price. Those two companies get on the phone and say, here's the price. One doesn't try to undercut the other, do they?
That's right. You know, they don't need to undercut each other to make the money. All they got to do is do price gouging to the consumers and squeeze their suppliers down. So we're pushing for that review. Glad the president filed that executive order on a Saturday. Didn't get a lot of attention, so I wanted to mention it here. Thank you for bringing that up, Steve.
It's important. It's important. It's important what you do, Joe, and I appreciate you taking the time to be here today. Joe Maxwell from Missouri. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Steve.
There you have it. We talk agriculture here because it matters what you put on your table. And when monopolies are impacting the price and impacting your ability to get food on the table, well, that's a bit of a problem now, isn't it? Speaking of taking care of yourself, Victory Nutrition International are vitamins that get in. Ivy did the research on this, and this holiday season, give the gift of feeling your best with Victory Nutrition International. Science-backed supplements designed to power your life right now. 20% off and free shipping on every subscription order forever. Lock in your savings forever. Digestion, hydration, vitality, cognition, weight management support. VNI has wellness wrapped up neatly for you and your loved ones. Check out their top-rated products today. VNI.life/Gruber. VNI, that's Victory Nutrition International. VNI.life/Gruber. Again, discounts and free shipping forever. VNI.life/Gruber. Be well. I'll be right back. Jumping back into it now, over the last 6 months, gold went from less than $3,400 an ounce to just about $4,200 today. It had a bigger jump year over year. It was, $2,500. December of 2024, December 2025, like I said, $4,200 an ounce. Joining me now, Tom Colson from Liberty Coin Service. That is their national trade name, libertycoinservice.com to find out more. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
We've seen pretty stable prices in gold and silver. Silver's running close to 60, not quite there. Gold, like I say, 4,200-ish, just slightly under at the moment. It's kind of been bouncing around in that territory. Went up just a bit back in September, but it's been pretty level for, I don't know, a while. What do you see in the metals markets?
Yeah, gold has been pretty steady over a while. Silver's climbed up here a little bit in the last couple of weeks. I mean, we were in the low 50s. Now we're flirting with 60, and that's been a little bit of an unexpected run up for me. I didn't think that we'd see that happening until probably early next year. But I think we're kind of in a holding pattern, that said. And, I think maybe early next year we'll see some more action and possibly more towards the upside. But that 60 number is going to be crucial for silver in order to break for any upside movement. And, I think 4,300 was the intraday high, or just a little over 4,300 was the intraday high for gold. And that's going to be kind of a ceiling for the short term as well. What's also interesting is, particularly with silver, I'm getting a lot of retail demand as it's gone up here in the last couple of weeks. So more people are jumping in, a lot of them that are new to buying silver again.
That's interesting. A month ago, it was hovering at around 50, and then it just rocketed up, $8, just over $8. It's 58.70 at the moment. So, I mean, it's close to 60. What happens if it breaks 60?
I when it broke 50, I thought it could run to 65 pretty early. So I'm thinking that if we get over 60, I think 65 is in the offing. Although I've heard rumors that there might be some short squeezes in there, and in situations like that, it can go really far, really fast. So, it could go from 60 to 70 in a heartbeat, or it could just hang out at 60.
You just never know. It's a lot of speculation in commodities, including gold and silver. How do you see the economy overall right now? I mean, inflation's under 3%. Gas is, at a place we haven't seen in a very long time, since well before COVID. So energy prices are good. What do you see for the overall economy, and how does it impact what happens at your store?
Sort of mixed, as you said. I mean, there's a lot of things out there that don't seem all that expensive. There's a lot of things out there that do seem expensive. So it's a lot of mixed data points. In terms of what I look at for people coming into my store and selling because they are compelled to, they need money just to pay for groceries or that sort of thing. There's a little bit of that going on, but there's a lot of times in the past when it's been much, much worse. A lot of people that are selling now are just taking advantage of the higher prices, not because they necessarily need the money.
Well, you made the point to me here a few weeks ago that, with gold being where it is, and if people have gold, there's a lot of things they can buy right now that they couldn't previously because the gold, went up and appreciated so much that it gives them opportunities maybe they didn't have. And so maybe that's why they're cashing in, taking some profit, if you will.
Absolutely. I think that's very much the case.
All right. So here's the deal. Every week here on the program, we take a look at what's in your pocket, in your change drawer, what you might have inherited. We look at coins most often, but if it's baseball cards or comic books, I just saw a comic book that went on auction, sold for $9.1 million. It was in some lady's attic for years. I think that's Superman #1, by the way, is what it was. Anything of value, Tom has a pretty good idea, but let's start with coin #1 here today. And you can send these things to coins@stevegruber.com, coins@stevegruber.com, and Tom will give his level best. Of course, he can't give you an exact valuation unless it's in his hand, but we can approximate a little bit. What am I looking at here?
Well, you can see the chrysanthemum on the back, so that's a coin from Japan. It looks like, judging from the size, it's a 1 yen coin, probably from the late 1800s. I'm not great at reading the dates on these just off the top of my head.
Me either.
Maybe it looks like year 15 or year 3. I'd have to go back to a reference to get the actual date.
Any ballpark?
Yeah, typically these aren't super valuable, but in average circulated grades like that, probably $50 to $100 retail.
Oh, it's worth something, $100 maybe. All right, so this next coin I've seen, but it's not something I've seen very often. In fact, this might be only the second time I've seen one of these. What is this that I'm seeing from 1926?
Well, this is an Oregon Trail commemorative $50. Now, this one is actually a modern replica. It looks like one of the Chinese counterfeits that have come over. But the genuine ones were commemorative $50 made to observe the history of the Oregon Trail, and they were made from 1926 to 1939. It's considered widely one of the most beautiful coin designs that the U.S. ever made. And the actual coin is very beautiful. Although this one isn't quite as attractive as the genuine ones.
It's a fake.
Yeah.
It's a fake. If it were real, what would something like that be worth? I never saw them. They made them for quite a few years. I never saw one.
So most of them fall in the range between around $100 and $300. There's some that are scarcer that are worth $500 to $1,000, but there's around maybe a dozen or so different issues that they made of this particular coin in the 13 years they made it.
Interesting. All right, last one is a 1909 Lincoln cent. It's got the initials of the designer on the back. That's important. But it does not have the San Francisco Mint mark. I know enough about this penny. What's this one worth? You think just a ballpark?
1909 BDB cent. It looks like it's uncirculated. It looks like somebody put a fingerprint on the back of it long, long ago. That's why you have that kind of mottled appearance on the reverse. It's still a nice uncirculated coin. One like that retails for $35 roughly.
That's it. I expected
a lot
more.
of those were saved, so they're not particularly scarce.
I got you. All right, again, if you've got coins or collectibles in your collection, you don't know what they're worth, email coins@stevegruber.com. Tom will give his level best to give us some feedback and tell you what it might be worth. Tom, as always, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
And you can find out more at libertycoinservice.com if you want to find out more directly with Tom. libertycoinservice.com. It's always a fun segment for me. I'll take a break and be right back. It is The Steve Gruber Show. All right, let's check it out sports now with Brock Palmbush.
With a look at sports, I'm Brock Palmbush. 14 games in the NFL yesterday. AFC winners included Buffalo, Baltimore, and Denver. With Denver's win over Green Bay, the Broncos clinched a playoff berth. NFC winners included Philadelphia, Chicago, and the Los Angeles Rams. With the Rams' win over Detroit, LA has clinched a playoff berth in the NFC. Some major injury news in the NFL. Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes tore the ACL in his left knee in the final minute of the Chiefs' loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. Mahomes is out for the year, and Green Bay defensive star Micah Parsons is feared to have a torn ACL after he left the Packers' loss to Denver in the third quarter. If so, he'll be out for the year. 8 games in the NBA yesterday. Winners included Atlanta, Charlotte, New Orleans, and Portland. 6 games in the NHL yesterday. Winners included Carolina, Montreal, Vancouver, and Utah. That's a look at sports. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Brock. So the Lions are pretty well dead in the water.
No, not quite. But they're in a position now that they have to win out and hope either Chicago or Green Bay go 1-2 in their last 3.
Ah, Lord.
Which is possible because the Lions still play the Bears in Chicago on the last Sunday of the season.
But they have to win out. They have to beat them. I mean, they just stomped the Bears. Wasn't it like 55-24 or something?
Yeah, that was way back in week 2.
Good Lord. And the Bears have been unstoppable since pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, they've turned it around. They're really good, surprisingly. So we'll see what happens.
And I'm disappointed the Seahawks kicked 6 field goals yesterday to beat the Colts. And 44-year-old Phillip Rivers, who threw a touchdown pass, he hasn't started an NFL game in 5 years. He did pretty well.
Considering everything, yes. And now his Hall of Fame clock has to restart again. He was eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, but to get in next year. But now that he's actually played in a game, that clock resets. He's going to have to wait 5 more years to get in the Hall of Fame, which he'll get in eventually.
He doesn't mind waiting.
No, he doesn't.
Is he going to start for the rest of the season?
What other options do they have?
Well, he played pretty well. I mean,
under the circumstances, he absolutely did. He's 44 years old.
Yeah. I wish I was 44 years old. Anyhow, Brock, thank you for that.
Me too.
You wish I was 44? Thank you,
No,
Brock.
I wish I was. Never mind.
We'll take a break. We got some serious stuff to cover at the top of the next hour here on the Steve Rivers Show. Always something to make you look around and say, hey, you know what? I live in a pretty great country. President Trump is calm, on point, on his game. And unlike the last guy, he is competent and coherent.
Come on, man.
We're not bending the knee anymore. We're here to take a stand for God and country.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
All right, welcome to it as we continue another big hour here on the program, lighting the fuse on an explosive day. It is a big day. A lot to talk about here today from the foxhole of freedom, fighting for you every single day. And with everything happening, man, you need to choose who's in your foxhole. Here are three big things this hour. Number one, Erica Kirk has agreed to a private sit-down and discussion with Candace Owens. That ought to be something. Number two, Hollywood director Rob Reiner and his wife murdered, and everything online says it was their son who stabbed them to death in their Brentwood home. That's Hollywood. And number three, a weekend of violence of unspeakable magnitude. We start with the attack in Israel on those celebrating Hanukkah at Bondi Beach. 15 dead, and one of the killers dead too. It was a father-son team that fired off rounds for more than 20 minutes while police that were armed were photographed and videotaped cowering behind their cars, hiding as people were murdered. They didn't run toward danger, they hid from it. They should turn in their badges in disgrace. Here's what it looked and sounded like. Listen. The shooting and the killing went on unabated for about 20 minutes. You can see the father and son there in the video on a small pedestrian bridge, giving them the advantage of high ground as they murdered 15 people aged 10 to 87. A Holocaust survivor among the victims, survived the Holocaust, survived October 7th, to be murdered in Australia on a beach celebrating Hanukkah. It's grotesque. It's absolutely grotesque that we would see this. But are you surprised? No. Both men from Pakistan, our understanding as we continue to investigate. These are preliminary findings, so I'll just say allegedly from Pakistan. The father shot and killed finally by police. The son in critical condition at hospital, but said to be in stable condition. Driven by hatred of Jews to murder them celebrating on a beach in Australia, the hatred of Jews. Meanwhile, at Brown University, Providence, Rhode Island, 2 people dead, 9 injured. A gunman burst into a classroom there. Reports online say he yelled, Allahu Akbar. The professor, known globally as a Jewish activist, and one of those dead, known on campus as one of the only outspoken Christian conservatives. A young woman from Alabama dead, 24 years of age. The attacks on Jewish and Christians around this world, more pronounced, of course, this time of the year. And I'm sad to say it probably won't be the last. Would you be surprised at all to hear this had happened in the United States? The answer, of course, is no. The answer, of course, is no. Here's one of the eyewitnesses to that attack in Australia. Listen.
Happened. Yes, there was 2 shooters, one on the bridge, one under the bridge. Just start to shoot for 20 minutes. They shoot, change magazine and just shoot. Simple as that. 20 minutes was 4 policemen there. Nobody give fire back. Nothing. Like they are froze. Like for it looked like 20 minutes. Like and they shoot. The guy change magazine. I look at him all the time. I was with 2 of my babies under me, and I look at that, and it's just rifle and a pistol, and just shoot. And the other one was under.
And again, this is while police were cowering. Shooting, reloading, shooting. Of course, the predictable online parade of fools. It's a false flag. It's not real. It's fake. It was really 1,000 people on a beach getting shot up was somehow a false flag. Wake up, people. Stop the nonsense. We've got a live feed, by the way, of the memorial, Bondi Beach. Massive memorial. I don't know if you can pop that in or not, Anthony. But they're gathered there mourning 15 people dead, more than 40 in hospital. More than 40 in hospital today. Horrible. President Trump weighed in last night about this massacre, the attack at Brown, and of course the attack on American military personnel in Syria as well. Here he is.
I want to just pay my respects to the people. Unfortunately, 2 are no longer with us. Brown University, 9 injured, and 2 are looking down on us right now from heaven. And likewise in Australia, as you know, that was a terrible attack, 11 dead, 29 badly wounded. And that was an anti-Semitic attack, obviously. And I just want to pay my respects to everybody. I must say in Syria also, we had an attack in Syria, and we had 3 great patriots terminated by bad people, and not the Syrian government. It was ISIS. Syrian government fought by our side. The new president fought by our side. But I just want to pay my respects to the families.
Yeah, pay the respects. You wouldn't be surprised, would you? Send me an email, SteveGruber.com. Follow us. The best place to watch the program, I'm told, is YouTube. The best place to listen is SteveGruber.com. Listen live button. Bam, there it is. Don't miss a moment. Don't miss a moment of this program. We cover everything and then some every single day. By the way, at the Gruber home, we used to have a dozen or more powders, capsules, and pills that we took every morning and night, but no more. Longevity is now our all-in-one solution. It provides 25 grams of protein per serving, vitamins and minerals, collagen for muscles and joint health, DHA for brain health, probiotics for gut health, and colostrum for immune support. It's remarkable. Not only that, it helps my kids with the strength they need for school and sports. It's helping me slim down. My wife, who, by the way, I already think is perfect, says nothing else has done so much for her hair, skin, and nails. Look, this is really a great product. We're excited to announce a limited time promotion while supplies last. When customers purchase a pouch of Longevity, they'll receive a full case of bottles free. Those are 1-serving bottles. To redeem the offer, simply use the promo code BUY1, GET 6 at checkout, longevity.co. Longevity.co, and you can find out more. Buy 1, get 6. That's a heck of a deal, isn't it? Click that QR code on your screen for those of you on video and the streaming services. There it is for you. Make it easy for you. Talking about putting health under the tree. How about that? Buy 1, get 6. Longevity.co. Longevity.co. All right, I'm going to take a break. I'll be back. It is the Steve Gruber Show. Well, it is the season of redemption, right? The season of the birth of Christ. A season when people look to help others. You know, it should be a year-round effort, but oftentimes it starts around Thanksgiving and works through Christmas, of course. But really, shouldn't it be something we do year-round? Shouldn't we help people that need help year-round? That's really the story of the season, is to give a lending hand. And look, that doesn't mean giving people endless amounts of free stuff all the time. But it does mean compassion for those that have been knocked down. Compassion for those that need a helping hand. Compassion for those that need a chance to get back on their feet. Right? That's what Christmas is about to me. So that's why when you get to the Christmas season, you see charities get a big influx. A lot of people join together at this time to help people that are, homeless, addicted, left behind, left out, forgotten America. It's out there every day, and as I watch the snowfall, I wonder how people survive this when they have nothing, or they live in their car, or whatever it might be. It's a time of the year that we need to think about helping out others. And you look what happened in COVID. The small charities really took it on the chin. The small charities, the ones that make $1 million or less in gross revenue, are the ones that were really run over during COVID. So I urge you this year to find those local charities, those outlets that do something in your local community. To find those outlets that are doing something close to home. Did you say something, Anthony? No. It's really important. Whether it's the local food bank, the local women's shelter, Meals on Wheels, those are the people that need the most help this year, this time of the year. So many were crippled financially during the COVID pandemic that they have not recovered. It's become a huge problem. So when you're looking around, think about those in your neighborhood. Now, I'm not taking away from the big charities. They're really important. Good Samaritan, for example. My Brother's Keeper. These charities are good. The United Way and others. I get all that. They're all good charities. But the ones closest to home can often do the most good because they're connected to the community. They are connected to your local hometown. They know people by name. They know people that are struggling. They know people that need a chance to get back on their feet, to get out of the snow, to get out of the rain, to get out of the cold, to have a chance to be there. My next guest lived a homeless life. He was addicted to meth, heroin, crack. He was a helpless street person. Now he's a recovery advocate. Young man, just 24 years of age. Lives in Grand Rapids, Michigan. His name is Ashton Nystrom. He joins me now. Ashton, nice to have you here.
Hi, nice to be with you, Steve. Thank you for having me on.
Great to have you here, my friend. Tell us your story real quick. We only got a couple of minutes, but tell me your story. You were a homeless crack addict, and now you're clean. You went to a recovery program when you were 21 years of age. You cleaned up. Now you give away tents for free, food for free. How did you make that turn?
I do a bunch of stuff, Steve. It's all right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And yeah, I used to do meth. I was addicted to it for about 5 years. And up until I was 21 years old, I really had no idea where my life was going to go. I had no faith in God or faith in the world around me. I had no faith in myself. And since I've gotten clean, it's been 3.5 years. On December 6th, that was exactly 3.5 years since I've been sober. And I've just always had this passion for philanthropy and also video making. So I kind of combined the two and started making videos to help spread a message. And that message has gotten me pretty far. And I'm very, very excited for what the future has in store for me.
So I've seen the videos. I've seen the pictures of you when you were a junkie. Man,
yeah.
You were a mess.
I was. Yeah, it wasn't a good look.
No. But I've also seen you handing out tents. I understand your uncle helped you with this, but you've also got ice cream and pizzas and you go out there. I guess you create hope out there on the streets for people that you once were amongst, right?
Yeah, definitely. I actually I was handing out pizzas one time, and I'm handing out a pizza. This one girl asked if she can has a slice, and I see her, and I'm like, I recognize you from when I used to be out here hanging out with all these people at this homeless park next to it's a Hardside Park. That's what it's called. And she had no teeth. She had scabs all over herself, and that was just like what 3 years of using drugs can do to a person. Because when I knew her, she was actually a semi-normal, semi-decent looking person, and it's just awful what that stuff can do to somebody.
That's the devil incarnate inside people. How important is faith to you in the Christmas season? How important is the church and Christ?
Oh, it's extremely important. I go to LaGrave Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and it really isn't without the church that I can embody this feeling of Christ, and Christmas time, that's all it's about.
What's your message to people this year, Ashton?
My message is to this year, to anybody that is listening, I think that, if you can help out, definitely give out extend the hand, because I have my inbox full of so many people that just need help this Christmas, and I can only help so many, but it hurts my heart to just have to turn down some people when I know that there's so much more that there is to do. But also just have a good time. Yeah, also just have a good time. It's Christmas time. Don't worry too much.
You can find out more at mogusa.org. Ashton Nystrom, soon to be 25, lived on the streets, understands addiction. mogusa.org. Ashton, we're going to have you back in the future.
MOGA USA.
MOGA USA.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. MOGAUSA.org. Greatly appreciated, Ashton. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, Steve.
We'll have more on his story in the weeks to come. He survived it and got back on track. It is a story of redemption, a story of hope. We'll be right back. All right, so as I mentioned, Erica Kirk has agreed to a sit-down with Candace Owen. Remarkable. Candace Owen used to be a big part of Turning Point USA. But after the murder of Charlie Kirk, she's gone down 27 rabbit holes. I don't know what she's looking for down there. Maybe she's right. Maybe the Turning Point USA team is behind the murder of Charlie Kirk. I mean, come on. Anyhow, Erica Kirk announcing she is to meet privately with commentator Candace Owens, marking the first direct conversation between the two after a period of public discussion and online war. They're meeting Monday, December 15th, today. They've agreed that public discussions, live streams, and tweets are on hold until after this meeting. I look forward to a productive conversation. Erica Kirk posting that. The planned discussion between Erica and the former Turning Point USA employee reflects an effort by the women to address weeks of mounting tensions over conspiracy theories online in a more thoughtful and personal setting. I hope that it works. At a recent CBS town hall, Erica expressed the emotional toll of widespread online speculation surrounding her husband's death. Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop. When you go after my family, my Turning Point USA family, my Charlie Kirk Show family, when you go after the people that I love and you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars every single episode going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this, no. We'll see where this conversation goes. We'll see if it ends up anywhere. We'll give you an update on that. Give you an update on that when we have it. All right, we're going to take a break and be back. It's the Steve Gruber Show. You can find out more at stevegruber.com. Follow me on all the social media platforms. Slap that like button. Bam! We'll talk about it. I'll be right back. All right, let's jump right back into it, shall we? Glad to have you along for the conversation here on the Steve Gruber Show as we try to get as many voices in as possible. The next voice, it's a loud one. He lets his feelings be known there at the state capitol in Michigan. Matt Maddock is the House of Representatives. He represents the 51st House District. Matt, nice to have you here on the program.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on. Today's a great day.
Yeah, shy is not a word associated with Matt Maddock. It's not a word that people use with you, Matt. Just to give people a perspective, the 51st House District is where?
Northwestern Oakland County. I live in Milford.
All right, Milford. Lovely community, by the way. All right, so the House Appropriations Committee is moving to disapprove some spending items that were included in the last Democratic budget. Look, we got the budget down a couple of $1 billion, but I sit here and I look at a state like Georgia, same size as Michigan, $20 billion less annually. Pennsylvania, bigger than we are, $30 billion less in annual budgeting. What are we doing with all that money in Michigan, Matt?
Oh, yeah, North Carolina's in the same boat. They spent about $19 billion less than we have, and they've got about 500,000 more people. You know, Michigan does have a spending problem, but the first thing I'd like to do is talk about all these port projects that were cut. You know, we cut $500 million in these work projects. They could be kind of confusing. There was a time when we only had, 15 or 20 work projects in an entire fiscal year for doing things like putting a new roof on a building and new windows in a state-owned building. But now the Democrats, since they've been in control in Lansing, they've made hundreds of these port projects. And, we've saved $500 million, and that's pretty much enough money to have everyone have free coffee until the beginning of the year. So Matt Hall, Speaker Hall, and Ann Boleyn, the appropriations chair, have done a great job. They have been very bold of these cuts, and they did their due diligence. And we have a great appropriations team. And we don't have very many great days in Lansing, but last week was a great day in Lansing.
So that's good news, and it's a step in the right direction. But really, when Rick Snyder was governor, I believe the last budget was $57 billion, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? Now we're at 81, even with a couple of $1 billion cut off. There is a spending problem, a huge spending problem.
We've increased our budget over 40% almost since I've been there. And you know what? The Michigan families aren't making 40% more.
No, I'm not.
So why is government making 40% more? It's crazy.
It is crazy. And then I saw this, and I just got to ask you about this while we're talking about the cost of everything in Michigan. We're the first state ever to get rid of right to work. All right, so we're an outlier in that regard. Last year, the income tax in Michigan went up. Also an outlier. No other state in America that I'm aware of raised income taxes last year. And there's a plan afoot from outside forces to more than double the income tax on small business in Michigan if you bring in $500,000 as a single individual or $1 million as a couple. And think pass-through business, S Corp, LLC. They want to take it from 4.25 to 9.25, a 5% surcharge, more than doubling the income tax. Why don't we just shut the place?
What? Yeah, the truth of the matter is, if the Democrats could tax us, they would tax us probably 80 to 90% of everything we earn. Businesses, individuals, that's what they do. We probably have 200,000 state employees. The Democrats and the communists have one job, that's to create more government jobs and grow government so more people are dependent on government.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So how do we? All right, so here's a question. I don't know the answer to this one. You're talking about North Carolina, right? You mentioned 500,000 people more, $19 billion less in spending. How many state employees does the state of North Carolina have compared to Michigan? Is that one of our places that we have to look and say, look, we've got too much overhead? Where do you look?
Yeah, I don't know that number exactly, but I'm sure they have a lot less employees than we do per capita. Another problem we have in Michigan is we have 5,000 school districts, not 5,000, but about 800 school districts. And do we really need 800 school districts? Because every one of those school districts has a dozen or two principals, superintendents. We have a top-heavy school system that's costing us, billions of dollars and probably excess money. But the great thing is, right now we have a bunch of great gubernatorial candidates, and they're all talking about making Michigan an income tax-free state, and that's a great thing. So I'm excited about our future, and I think we can do it. I think we can pull this next election off and get back the majority in the Senate and win back the governor's seat. I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Right now, Donald Trump, here's the thing about the next election, and I know you know the president as I do. He's crafting his message right now. It's going to roll out right after the first of the year about how we're going to continue to improve the economy. Look, Michigan's average gas price is $2.84 a gallon right now. Some places significantly less than that. Inflation at 3% or less. The stock market is doing well. But a lot of people not feeling that at home yet. I mean, we did have 9.1% inflation in the middle of 2022 thanks to the Democrat machine and all their spending. But in order to win the elections, we got to have some real movement on affordability. I mean, I know it's a word that the Democrats threw out there, but it's true and it's resonating, so their message is resonating. We need a counter argument to that on the conservative side of the ledger. What do you say?
You know, I think President Trump is going. I think we're going to see about $2,000 to $3,000 per family in extra income due to the income tax reduction. And also, don't forget, beginning of the year, we're going to have no tax on tips on a lot of these great Trump things coming through. So I think we're going to start feeling some of this relief over the next couple months. I think it's going to be good, and I think by the summertime, we're going to be showing a lot better affordability for all of us.
You know, people say, you know, it doesn't matter. Trump's not on the ballot for 2026. I think he's going to put himself squarely on the ballot. I think that's going to be his plan. He's going to go out and hit the road with his traveling road show, which is kind of fun to see, by the way. I think there is no question, because here's the problem, Matt. If you go back to the midterms, because you talk about the great field of candidates for governor for Michigan and other people jumping into races that are important, all the statewide races are important. Governor, Secretary of State, AG, all that. 1 million people in Michigan alone that voted for Donald Trump in 2020 did not cast a ballot in 2022. What do you say to those folks? Folks, you got to get to the ballot box, don't you?
Absolutely, and Trump's going to be campaigning hard in the 5 swing states, including Michigan. He's probably going to be here at least 7 or 8 times over the next year, and I think that's really going to motivate people, because Trump does motivate people, and he has, you know, part of the problem is we have such bad fake news media in this state that people don't see all the great things. The fake news, like Detroit Free Press and Detroit News, they hide things from people. And a lot of people, unless you're not tuned into people like your show and other conservative outlets, they don't get the real picture. All they're hearing is negative, negative, negative. Trump's horrible. So that's part of the problem too. But when Trump comes here, he has such a loud voice that you can't not hear Trump when he's doing a rally in Michigan.
I've had this conversation with him a couple of times. And he believes then and he believes now Michigan is ground zero for the midterms and for 2028. He thought that before 2020. He thought that before 2024. He still believes it today. I believe that he is right about that. How goes Michigan, so goes the nation. Matt, I'll give you the last word.
You're right, Steve. You know, I have hope for the future. If you're listening to the show, you're tuned in, you're in the right place, and I think we're going to do great things. President Trump's going to do wonderful things for our nation. And people are going to start seeing that and believing it. And I think we're going to win big in 26. And I'm excited. And I just thank you for your time on the show, Steve. You do such a great job.
Well, Matt, I remember you with that big grin on your face, election night, holding up 312 before any of the returns came in. You walked around the room. You had a piece of paper that said 312 on it, 312, which turned out to be exactly the number of electoral votes Donald Trump got. So you're a pretty good predictor of things to come. I hope you're right about the midterms. Thank you for being here.
You remember that. That was a great night.
It was a great night. Let's have another one of those. Matt Maddock, always nice seeing you, my friend.
God bless you. Thank you for all you do.
God bless you. Yeah, he was walking. I bet he had this big grin on his face, and before any of the polls had closed, there's no states reporting yet. He's walking around with a sign that said 312. And I'm thinking, well, that's pretty optimistic. Turned out to be exactly right. Maybe he's right again. I'll take a break and be back with Ivy, of course, on the Steve Gruber Show. All right, back to it now. My apologies. No Ivy, but we have something very important to discuss here today with Dr. Tom George. He's the CEO of the Michigan State Medical Society. Doctor, thank you for being here.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me on.
Licensing in Michigan has been burdensome. In fact, it's been portrayed as among the most burdensome states in the country to get a medical license. Why?
So each state, of course, has its own rules for licensing and relicensure.
Sure.
Michigan's rules are antiquated. They go back decades, and they require physicians in Michigan to have 150 CME credits every 3 years. That's 50 hours a year, and that is way in excess of the national standard and way in excess of our neighboring states.
Well, let me ask you. I got to jump in there because you know, but I don't. What's CME?
Oh, so I'm sorry. It's continuing medical education.
Okay.
And we do this for other professions too. Accountants, nurses, architects. They all have to maintain their license by taking a certain number of classes every year to stay up to date, as do physicians.
Sure.
But what we're saying is that Michigan's requirements are overly stringent, especially for physicians. They are twice the national average.
Double. So other states, it's 25 hours, maybe even less in some places.
Exactly. And I'll give you a couple of examples.
What's the proper, let me ask you as a professional, what is the proper number? I mean, 50 hours sounds like a lot. I mean, I would think doctors learn every single day. Different patients, different circumstance, different, things that present to them. What is the right number?
Yeah, that's a good question because medicine has changed. We're so specialized now that most of us do continuing education in our specialty to maintain our board certification. For example, I'm an anesthesiologist, so I want to learn about the new anesthetics. But Michigan's requirements are generic, and they are outside of some of the requirements are outside of our specialty training, and they're not relevant, to what we do on a day-to-day basis. So what is reasonable is what most states do, and they allow your board certification to count, which you have to recertify that every few years. So they have minimal other CME requirements. Some states just have 5 a year or 10, but we have 50.
So with House Bill 5313, Michigan would no longer be an outlier. It would bring Michigan into alignment with the rest of the country more closely. What is the bill? Does it have a chance of getting signed by the governor?
I think it does, Steve. It's interesting. Of course, Republicans have an interest in removing barriers and getting rid of some of these burdens. But even Governor Whitmer, in her State of the State address early this year, said that the bars are too high for some of our professions, and we need to re-examine those. So I think this does have a chance to get bipartisan support and to become law. And we would be very pleased with that. I'll tell you another area where it's a problem is we have a lot of physicians who, as they approach retirement, they work part-time. And maybe they even take temporary jobs in various states, for a few weeks here and there. So if you're out of state and you're coming to Michigan to do a temporary job, you have to meet these requirements. And so it makes it hard to recruit physicians as well.
So is the same thing true in nursing in Michigan? Are there high barriers for nursing? Because I know we have a shortage of nurses. We have a shortage of doctors, not just in Michigan, but around the country. But we're talking about Michigan. So does it prevent people coming into the state, like you just mentioned, to fill in temporarily or to fill a need to fill the void?
Yeah, I don't think the gap is as big in the other professions. It's most glaring for medicine. In Michigan, the nursing requirement is 12 and a half hours a year. So that's more in line with national standards. So the big difference is in medicine. But you're right, we should look at all of these and make sure we're not an outlier because it can be a barrier to recruiting, health professions to Michigan.
So why are they picking on you, Doc?
Well, we brought this to their attention. We were fortunate. Representative Steve Bierlein, a Republican from the Northern Lower Peninsula, had a hearing on physician burnout earlier this year, and we were allowed to present. And that's multifactorial. There's a lot of reasons why medical professionals burn out, but this is one tiny factor in that, and it is something the state has complete control over. So this sprung from a hearing that Representative Bierlein had. He listened carefully, he took notes, and he's worked with us then to introduce this legislation.
So the Michigan State Medical Society is certainly on board with this, hopefully trying to get some Democrats to join the Republicans. It sounds like common sense legislation to me. Look, we need more doctors in Michigan, more qualified doctors, but that doesn't mean, pushing them out because the requirements are too high. I'll give you the last word.
Well, you're exactly right. There's no reason we should be an outlier, and we have a shortage of physicians in Michigan, and this will only help us, help move us in the right direction a little bit, but it's an important step, and it's something that is doable, that doesn't cost the state or the taxpayers anything.
There you go. Dr. Tom George from the Michigan State Medical Society. He's the CEO. Doctor, thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
There you have it. We'll keep an eye on this one, bring you an update when we know something. In the meantime, Anthony, throw up that Gruber merch thing, would you please? I want to make sure that you've got yourself prepared for Christmas with all the coolest stuff. And there it is. Let's see, coffee cups, shirts, hoodies, all of it. We didn't find a hat we liked yet, so we didn't do the hat yet. We'll get it when we get there. Look at that big cheese grin of the guy in the gray suit and the purple shirt. You want to be like that guy. Anyhow, click the QR code right there on your screen. Oh, over here. Or over here. QR code over here. Right? Click on that. It'll take you to Gruber merch, all sorts of shirts and coffee cups and stuff. You'll be the coolest person at Christmas with all that stuff under the tree now, won't you? Yep, you will. And let me know what you think of the product. I want to know. I want feedback. I want to know we're selling you the good stuff, putting the good stuff under the tree for you. I want feedback on the product, no matter what you might pick up, all right? Gruber merch, right over here. Yeah, get that figured out. We'll have some final thoughts after this. All right. cleaning up from all this. The attack in Australia, 15 dead, plus the shooter, one of the shooters. Father-son team. The father is dead. The son is in critical condition, but apparently stable. So we've got that. You've got the death of Rob Reiner and his wife, stabbed to death apparently by their son. That's being reported by People magazine. We'll see if that turns out to be true. You've got the attack at Brown University, 2 dead, 9 wounded. A targeted attack there, it appears. A person of interest was arrested and then released. So you've got these attacks, and here's the problem. None of us would be surprised, not one of us, if tomorrow's program started with a mass casualty event here in America. A targeted terrorist attack here in America. Nobody, not one of us would be surprised. And we've done it to ourselves. The Australians did it to themselves. The killers were from Pakistan. When you import people that don't have your worldview and don't become part of your society and don't care about your country, what do you expect to have happen? Well, they're mostly peaceful. Yeah, but the ones that aren't. The Germans were mostly peaceful before World War II. But the ones that weren't brought us World War II. You see how that works? Mostly peaceful. Stop that nonsense. Mostly peaceful. Yeah, except for the ones that killed you. The other ones were peaceful. They said sorry about you getting killed. Fight the good fight and keep the faith. God bless America. I'm Steve Gruber. This is The Steve Gruber Show. Work harder. Be better. I'll be right back after tomorrow.